Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Skyborn. In this episode, we're going to be continuing on through these caves here in Mount Lycian. Got him poisoned. Zemo Strike. And Debilitate. Barret. Napalm. Debilitate again. Okay, Venomous Claw. More attack. Debilitate. Get rid of Snipper B so we can just kill this one. Lowering as much damage as possible on ourselves. Okay, we got another piece of jewel there. Okay, we're gonna augment something with something. 15% critical hit chance. I'm gonna put that on her. Because critical hit is all what Chaska's about. Ruby Cluster increases strength by a good bit, so I think I'm actually gonna put that on Sylvan so that he's a little bit more even. One down. That is a button press, which allows us to get this. 1,200 gold, very nice. Now we need the yellow button and the, that should be about it. For some reason I thought we were missing a button on one of the sides. And see, as you can see, Chaska is awesome at crits. She did 1,000 with just a regular attack there. Got a lot of snakes in this volcano. I'm assuming to be a volcano anyway. I'm not sure if I've actually went over this before, but I want to talk about it now, since we've gotten into, I would assume, episode... I don't know what episode this would be, but right offhand, but... Anyway, we've gotten through the story quite a bit now. On both Deadly Sin and Skyborn. And I just want to say that I've already played, I think, 3 of the Avion series at this point. Which, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this in any of my videos going forward, but I've actually beaten the entire series of Avion, aside from the very last game that they made. And I wanted to get through the topic of this because I haven't edited it or posted it, but I wanted to have a little bit of a break from the sort of the same Avion every time. I wanted to have like a little bit of a break between then, because I didn't want to just post nothing but Avion. But, and another reason why I was able to do that, just record them all very quickly, is because there's not very much to them. At least not the Orb series. And I do love, like, 2 games in that series, which I will be going over whenever I post. That's what I've recorded, but going over the entire series of, like, versus for this versus Avion, I've actually probably played this game and Deadly Sin way more than Avion. Which is a funny thought, but I think I've actually done that because I've had... I can't count Aramis Prophecy because it's technically not part of the Avion series, and that would be one that I would definitely have more hours in that, but... when it comes to differences in storytelling or differences in whatever, I do like that Skyborn and Deadly Sin are just a little bit more serious. I think Avion prioritizes too much of a sudden gag than a serious story. If that makes any sense. Which, in my opinion, kind of holds it back. The one thing I can say that it has on the series is a more easily accessed world, if that makes any sense. Except Skyborn kind of has it on that, but Deadly Sin is a little bit clunky, but, you know, it works for Deadly Sin. And here's another thing going back on that, is finishing up this topic of Avion's strategy and how they do things versus this game series. And it's all these people that make these games and how they decide to do the story. I prefer highly this game when it comes to not just its story, but also its characters. Because a lot of the characters in that series, they kind of fall flat after a while. It's just rehashed, the same joke, the same whatever, where this one feels like a real... It drags you in of a story. Even through all the battles or whatever, everyone's personality just stays the same. Like, don't get me started on Edward from, Avion series. But, like, when it comes to the differences, is what I'm trying to say is, I have a lot of characters that I really don't like in the Avion series. As if you've watched the Avion series and Aramis Prophecy, you can see I have some strong fighting words over some of the characters and how they were portrayed, but like, they're very typical. Like, oh, this guy's rich, so therefore we have to make him snooty and he has to be a compatriot. Like, that was a little bit irritating. But with Sullivan, it's like, he may be rich, but he's nowhere near snooty, and he's not, you know, whatever. And he's actually fighting for the good cause. He's the only one in the group that's really pushing for that, but, like... There's so many characters in Avion where they just pull that trope and just keep stringing it along, and it's just slowly dying as it's being dragged. Like, you can only drag that plotline for so long. And they do it for, I think, 5 straight games in a row if you count the parts not being parts of a series, but more of a each one their individual game. And also another thing as well with Deadly Sin and Skyborn that seems to be so much different than Avion is everyone has a stake in this. Everyone has something they can lose, potentially, from this fight. And in Avion, everyone just joins you for the fun of it. Like, it's not really much of a stake, and you never really feel like anything you're doing is really going to impact anything. Because the game developers are all, well, we're going to make a sequel now that's going to completely overwrite everything that the previous characters have ever achieved in the entire existence of this game. And makes all of your decisions really fall flat and not feel important. Which is another thing I'd like to go over for games in general, this like small little rant that I'm going on. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but like I feel like there's a lot of games that by game makers that they get obsessed with the hype of one game, their very first game that came out, and they use the popularity from it or whatever, or the demand for another game as like a reason to just mass produce the series with no care at all. Because I've seen so many games, specifically lately, that are just like crapped out for no good reason. Like no good reason. And that's not even going for RPGs, that's also going for like horror game makers, it's going for like whatever, and I'm like, I would rather play an indie game that I have much more enjoyment out of because they actually had soul in that one, rather than a crapped out, cheap imitation of something good, which is made by the people who are in the friggin' AAA companies. And also the prices are actually way too high. Like, can really any of us afford $60 for a new game? Because I can't. And it's just like, I'm gonna be danged if I'm gonna spend that over food, electric, or bills. Like, that's far more important to me than some random game that just came out by some developer, be it AAA or not. That's another thing. Just because they're AAA doesn't mean they're good. Like, I've had... When I was going through games and whatever, I always thought the best is that every game maker knew what they were doing, and that all games were good, until I got into slowly realizing that through Paper Mario Sticker Star, Origami King, Color Splash, and then seeing what happened to poor Until Dawn saga that they're making. Just trash. Nobody likes that in your head plot. But like, I really wish people would play like, games like this more, give them a chance. Because the characters are great, and like, while there can be some things said of, okay, some people like this character, some people like that character, I think a lot of the characters in here can be treated pretty much evenly. And like, even with Chaska, even though she showed up randomly, she offered to help and was grateful for us to be nice to her, so she just wanted to repay us for our kindness. And, you know, even still, like, everyone's got their own stake in this, so it's like... That's one thing that I really miss. Also, I wanted to say again how I think now, of course, I would have definitely used skill points and stuff like that on Deadly Sin. But also this one with classes and choices. I wish more games had class choices. Instead of just making you, like, level up, you're forced to pick certain skill or else. Like it's heavily geared and weighted towards certain things. Like, I'd hate to use an example because I think I've already sung the song of this game for too many times and might be wearing it out, but Final Fantasy XIII is an example. You had the illusion that you had classes, but you really didn't. Like, I played that game, no joke, I played that game for 80 hours. And that was more than I had played on Skyrim, because I was just like... And it's also mixed between me and my sister, because we would take turns playing it. But like, we would try so hard to try to level up, and it was so difficult to get money or XP in that game, and every time you would go to a new area, the enemies would be like 30 levels higher than you, and then you'd have to grind more, and then whatever, and I don't like grind fests. Even though I really like leveling up early, I don't like the idea of being forced to do it. It's just one of those things. But that would be my example of classes being done wrong in a lot of games, is like, you had 2 branching paths for skills in Final Fantasy II, and you could level all of them at once if you wanted to, which you kind of are made to do later on, because there's certain things that you need to get done that require those skills, and they don't tell you that. Like, one of the big reasons why I had that many hours in the game was because I was, like, I would really love this one class for one of the characters. But it turns out he needed to be a debuffer. Yeah. And that you can only have one of each at a time, and certain things, like, there's certain things that the game doesn't really tell you or explain to you. You just kind of have to fumble around in the dark, even though you would expect that out of a tutorial. I don't know if that's for all current Final Fantasies, but that, like, from 13 onward, like, I don't know if that's a thing for Final Fantasy 15 or whatever, but yeah. Like, I wish you could do, like, in, Deadly Sin, where you could just reset your skill points if you wanted to. If you wanted to be, like, a mage attacker for, Devon, at one point in time, you could immediately switch back over to, being just a straight-up attacker, or you could do guard for Levi, and then just switch back to attacker with pure strength, meaning to, like, divert threat away from the enemy, or away from the allies. Or for magic users, you could either go support or strength, or dark magic, or anything like that. Or you could even pick a specific magic type you even want to use, be it fire, ice, water, or not fire, ice, water. Fire, water, or lightning. Like, and for Serena, you have the ability to, like, either be a guard, a holy knight with magic powers to banish the darkness, or just straight up guard over everybody else and protect them from anything that's going on. Like, I wish that was an option for some games, because sometimes you want to pick a different path for class and you don't really like the one you picked. That's happened to me a lot, actually, in games. It's like, you start out with one thing, but then you realize maybe something else might be a better idea. But halfway down the line, you start realizing that in order to do that class that you think you would appreciate more or like more, you have to replay the entire game to get that class that you might have wanted to try. Like, some of the decisions in the game would be like, you chose poorly. Like, I remember... Which is a whole other separate thing, but I do want to say that I wish that some games would be like, okay, if you do this little thing in the beginning, it's going to change the ending forever. Like, you forgot to put trash in the trash can, therefore you get the bad end where everyone dies to a zombie apocalypse. That sort of thing. That never actually happened, I don't think. That's happened in game history, but it would be funny if that was the case. Okay, what do I even really got here? See, that would increase strength. So if I put that on her armor, it's going to increase her critical hit chance. Or increase your strength by 20. Kind of want him to have more attack power. And probably critical hit chance. That might be again. Also, one thing I'd also like to note that I'm not sure if anyone is aware of, like, I'm just going to assume that nobody's already aware of this, but if you've seen an RPG Maker game, you could pretty much see some of the default tile sets, because a lot of games use the same default tile sets. I don't really care about that, because I have RPG Maker VX Ace, and RPG Maker MV, and XP, and I can tell you that a lot of the things in this game are used with default assets. The same goes for Deadly Sin 2. Now, I don't care about if someone uses default assets. Like, this entire here is like default assets. It's what you do with those default assets that is important. And I feel like these games nailed it on the head because they have, like, their own stick on it. It's so pretty! Looks like a death trap if you ask me. It's not all bad. Nice to see clear skies and breathe clean air. Care to lead the way, directional genius? It'll be my pleasure. Follow me! No clue where to go, huh? Nope. Those blueprints said to follow the shifting sands. See how some of the sand is solid, but the rest is flowing around? We just walk in the same direction of these sands, we should find the workshop. Got cut out there. But, like, yeah, it's what you do with those assets that's important. And I've played games that are so default, it's gross. An example of that would be Laxius Force, which is, like, the only thing that's not default about it is the story. Because the main character's name is literally random, which is the, which I don't suggest playing Laxius Force. If you are watching this video and you are not mature, if you're a kid or teenager, please do not play Laxius Force. Don't even look it up. It is explicit, which means not for kids, but I'm only using that as an example because it's got really default assets and everything like that. Okay, let's use napalm. It's super effective. But yeah, some games they use default assets because the price of assets are so high. If you aren't talented enough to make, well, I'd say talented enough, but if you don't have the skill ability to draw or make your own assets, then you have to resort to either default, and some people need to realize that paying for someone to do your assets for a game are really expensive. Because I have all of the versions of, well, most of the versions of RPG Maker, and I can tell you that it's very difficult to get anywhere with default anything, but the price of actually getting the DLC or getting anything that would make it unique are really bad price. I think it's estimated to be around a grand or something like that with all of the bells and whistles. Some of these small indie developers do not have that money. But the bad thing is, because they have to use default assets, they might have a really amazing story, but because of the defaultness, of the assets, nobody will pick up the game because they look too default. But that's basically what people can afford to do. It's not really about being lazy, it's just sometimes a lot of these people who make the games, they don't have enough to make the game, or they don't have the money. You know, various things can happen in life, and it's unfortunate. I see so many games of RPG Maker variety that aren't popular here because we only look towards what's most graphically pleasing, or we prefer AAA title over everything because it's safer that way, or something like that. Also, we can't go here yet, but I want you to know this is here. Sealed by magical barrier. But you have to remember that for later. And don't get me wrong, I know full well that there's just some bad games out there that, you know, are, well, bad, but that comes with the territory. Every type of game has a bad thing in it. Not every game maker, be it AAA or otherwise, has made a good game all the time. It's just one of those things that comes with the territory of video gaming. Because there are some games like Sweet Lily Dreams that isn't great game. It's one of those things where, because to me, in my opinion, it's better to make a game with default assets than to start with no experience and decide to make all of the sprites yourself, even if you don't know if you're, like, as an example, even if you know it's not gonna be as quality. That's kind of the reason why default assets exist, is so that you can slowly work up to what you want for quality. Like, default assets are there so that if there is a hiccup in your plan, then you can quickly just use that as placeholder or permanent. Depends. But I am a big supporter of those who are willing to go ahead and give it a shot at video gaming. If I had the money, I'd just try to support anybody who really wants to take the plunge and make their own game or project. Because there's so many great projects that don't get any recognition and never take foot off the ground. Like, it's really sad. I've seen that happen in both animation, video games, and basically any kind of media. Here you go, nice and fresh. This is probably human meat. 100 HP. Who the crap do I give it to? Man, that's a hard question. I think Claire's gonna die more, so I guess I'll put that on her. The good thing about Chaska is she has such a high evade rate that even if she does have, even if she does get attacked, she's gonna be strong anyway, because she will usually evade. Where Claire's not really, she doesn't really do that. Okay, we got rid of one of them. Unfortunately, it blinded everybody. Let's use Circle of Healing. Haven't gotten a really good chance to use that. The good thing about being blind is that even though you're blind and you do less damage, the status effects that could be attached to any attack that you might have will be the same. So, say you inflict burning, or it will inflict burning. If you inflict paralyze, it will inflict paralyze. It doesn't give you a lower chance just because you're blind. Okay, you gotta use the Burning Rush. And taunt. I'm gonna use Debilitate on them. Because the Snippers, I prefer their attacks damage to the, Napalm. To get as much of them status effects as I can. And... Shockwave, and that should be Corn's cue for a Debilitate. And there we go. Vein of Rejuvenation. Oops. I think that was supposed to be the right way. Let's go the wrong way. Okay, it leads us back here. Well, that's enough time for this episode, so on the next episode of Skyborn, we're going to be continuing on. See you guys then. Hopefully we'll beat the desert in the next episode. I'm pretty sure we will.